Okay, excellent. Thank you all for joining. Um, my name is Julia Dumaine. I am the Supervisor of Strategy and Operations for the Connecticut Public Utilities Regulatory Authority. I'm also the co-chair of the Innovation Advisory Council. I'm also realizing I'm having a video issue. One moment. There we go. And you have all been invited today because you submitted phase two applications into the Innovative Energy Solutions program. The Innovation Advisory Council submitted their recommendations to the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority decisional staff on July 31st. Since then, the decisional staff have issued a notice of technical meeting for September 17th and has invited any innovators that submitted phase two applications to present on their project proposals. And just we wanted to host this today to just provide an opportunity for Q&A and to just sort of go through some of the fundamentals of what a technical meeting is in the regulatory context. Um, so I will walk through the slides and then we will have time for questions. You should be able to put questions into the Q&A presentation. And we already have one that I think is relevant for right now, which is we are going to share this recording with everyone later. We'll share the slide deck and the recording. So thank you for that question. Um, Excellent. So let's Okay. Oops. I'm going to go over the um, role of the different PURA staff in the IES cycle. So I mentioned decisional staff already, and so I'll explain the differentiation between non-decisional staff and decisional staff. I'll describe what a technical meeting is, who the audience is, how you should prepare, and next steps, and then we'll have time for questions after. So as you think of things, please feel free to drop them into the Q&A box. All right, so this is just a quick refresher on the IES program cycle. Um, so we are currently in between phase two and phase three here. We're really still in phase two, but we're working towards the end of it, and we've um, gone through many of the major steps of it. So phase one was soliciting concept proposals from you all. Phase two, we received the detailed proposals, and the Innovation Advisory Council evaluates those proposals on different sets of criteria and then recommends projects that they see as providing the most benefits to Connecticut and aligning with the project criteria set out in the decision that authorized this program to the decisional staff. Um, so I think what's important to understand here is the difference between the non-decisional staff and the IAC and PURA decisional staff. So the Innovation Advisory Council is made up of nine different state agencies, nine different organizations, including multiple different state agencies, the two electric distribution companies in Connecticut, and some advocacy groups. And then Pura non-decisional staff, which include myself, Danielle Shalou, Patrick Fryer, and Christopher Arpin. We are technically firewalled off from communicating with the Pura decisional staff, which allows us to have open communications with all of the applicants and participants, such as yourselves, and the other members of the Innovation Advisory Council. Under standard regulatory process, we are subject to something called ex parte, where we cannot communicate with participants outside the regulatory and procedural events and framework. So this design allows us to have more flexibility and better communication. So our responsibility as the Innovation Advisory Council is to determine the theme um, of any IES program cycle. We conduct the comprehensive review of all of the applications. And then we track progress for projects that have ultimately been approved by PURA for their progress evaluation. On the other hand, the PURA decisional staff only are really evaluating the projects that need to be selected for um, final funding approval. So what that means is they will receive the recommendations from the Innovation Advisory Council, but they'll also receive the information from um, of all the applications that were submitted. They are going to review those and determine whether those recommendations make sense or if there should be modifications to them, and then they're going to approve funding. Um, so the council does not have say on who the final who receives funding. Definitely, we can only provide the recommendation to Pura. Pura is the one that makes the final judgment call, and that is the purpose of the technical meeting. They have not really had an opportunity to hear from you all yet, to see the materials, to understand these things. So this meeting on September 17th is really intended to allow the applicants to provide a short presentation to the decisional staff, answer any questions, and then Pura can make its final judgment call based on the materials submitted by the Innovation Advisory Council and the things that it was able to learn during the technical meeting. Um, A technical meeting, definition-wise, is a meeting that allows the authority to question parties or participants involved in a proceeding and provide the opportunity for other parties and participants to present and discuss issues with the authority. Um, Traditionally, a technical meeting is attended by the PURA commissioners, PURA staff, staff from the electric distribution companies, staff from the Office of Consumer Counsel, the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, other interested stakeholders, or members of the public. All the information that is relevant to a particular technical meeting is included in the notice of technical meeting, which I have hyperlinked here for this one. We also sent it to you all via email. Um, and this includes, what topics are going to be covered, important dates, such as when you need to notify the authority by that you will be presenting at it. Other information about receiving updates, things like that. So all of, the Zoom link, all the information you need is in this PDF, but we're going to just go over it quickly. Um, what was specific for this one? So in this technical meeting notice, we received information that applicants need to notify the case coordinator, who's basically the administrative coordinator of the proceeding, Laura Lupoli, by this Friday, September 6th at 4 p.m. You need to email her and tell her the name of your company, the name of the presenters presenting on behalf of it, and your estimated presentation time. Within that notice, they did specify a recommended allotment of about 20 minutes, 10 minutes for presentation, 10 minutes for Q&A. However, there is also a footnote that states this is subject to the number of applicants that ultimately uh, submit a request to present. So the authority will take this all into account what they receive on Friday and develop the agenda with allotments and time slots for each presenter. At that point, you're going to prepare your presentation. And within the notice, they also specified the topics that they would like to hear about. And so what I recommend to all of you in order to keep it succinct and clear for the authority, especially since they may not be technical experts in your technology or solution, and have not had the opportunity to review necessarily all of the applications in detail at this point. Provide a concise summary of your technology and what the demonstration project scope is. And then the focus on the benefits of what this technology could bring to all ratepayers at scale, including the extent to which the project demonstrates cost effectiveness, fills a programmatic gap or market gap in Connecticut. In other words, how it improves or expands upon current offerings. And then last, the extent to which the project enhances equity in Connecticut, such that it creates or improves opportunities for underserved communities. Um, I will note that not all of the pilot projects are, we are aware that not all pilot projects will always be cost effective. So if you're able to explain how your pilot project is cost effective, that's great, but it's also important for the authority to understand what this technology would look like at scale in terms of cost effectiveness. You do need to then provide a copy of your presentation by Tuesday, September 10th. I know that's not a lot of time, but that is what they specified in the notice. The authority typically goes through all of the presentations in advance of the meeting so that they have their questions prepared and are ready to ask the technical questions that they need. Um, Please note that a technical meeting is not an opportunity for you to present a modification of your phase two proposal or to critique other proposals. Um, Please focus on what you submitted in your phase two application. We cannot consider any new proposals at this point in the process. Okay. Just some last tips here. Again, be concise. The time is short, and we do need to stick to the agenda set by the authority in order to ensure that we accommodate all the presenters. Make sure that you are focusing on the benefits of your project, but also are clear about what the actual scope of the project is. If you wish to include very technical slides, that maybe you have as sort of standard in your presentations, I would recommend that you add them as appendices to your PowerPoints because you may not have time to go through all of those. Um, and then once you receive the agenda from the authority, please plan to arrive early to your time slot so that you don't miss your opportunity. All right. After the technical meeting, there is one more procedural step that may occur before the authority issues its final decision on funding. Um, they may issue something called interrogatories, which are essentially specific questions directed either specifically at you or will be to a group of presenters or to all of the presenters. Asking that for clarification that maybe was not able to be addressed during the presentation time or is something that the authority staff thought of afterwards and wanted to receive further information on. Um, these are written responses and they are filed through the docket database system. I have some resources here for how to do that, but we are happy to assist you if you are having issues figuring that system out. If should this happen, should we have interrogatories, so you can always reach out to the program administration team and we'll be able to support you. And then we anticipate that Pura will issue its interim decision around mid-December. And we call it an interim decision because this decision is only determining the funding for the pilot phase. The final decision in a IES program cycle is the one that determines which projects are ready to be scaled up. And then I've also linked just a couple of quick tutorials about how to uh, do some of our electronic filings here and use our database. They're pretty short. One of them is longer than the other, but I think that they are helpful resources. Um, so again, just want to emphasize that the attendees at this meeting will all be virtual. Um, they are probably not going to have been exposed to the projects before. Sometimes your technologies can be very new to people. The authority's purpose, as a reminder, is to ensure the safe, affordable, and reliable delivery of electricity in the state and balance that with the utilities' rights to just and reasonable rates. So they will be looking at projects with that lens along with the ones identified in the actual evaluation criteria. So just keeping that in mind that that is the real important focus um, of the authority. So with that, I will respond to any questions that come in through the chat. I don't see any coming in just yet, um, but people are also welcome to submit questions um, after this meeting. We did receive a question of all the IAC recommended phase two projects for phase three deployment. How many of them were selected by Pura at the technical meeting to deploy in phase three? On the flip side, how many projects were selected to deploy in phase three that were not recommended by the IAC? Last year, all of the projects that were recommended by the IAC presented at the technical meeting and were approved for funding to deploy in phase three. There were no projects that were uh, not recommended by the IAC that were selected. I don't remember how many uh, presented or if they did or not. That being said, you are absolutely welcome to do so. If you would like to make a case for your project, and you were not recommended by the IAC, that they all phase two applicants were invited in the notice. The next question we received was, may we attend the entire meeting in person or remotely? The entire meeting will be held remotely. There is not an in-person option. Um, Sorry, I just need to briefly read. This is a longer question, so please give me one moment. Okay, so this question points out that in the technical meeting notice, it specifically asks presenters to address 2 points. Um, oh, I think it, hold on, sorry. Okay. Um, One, how the Phase 2 Innovator Electric Grid Modernization Technologies programs, products, and or services can be tested with the goal of statewide deployment for the benefit of all ratepayers. And two, how their proposed project will perform against the prioritization and selection metrics. Um, so, um, yes, that was what I was trying to get to in uh, this earlier slide. Oops, I went too far. Right. So again, I think what the goal is what the authority is trying to understand is um, if your project is selected to be tested, um, how does it align with the objectives of the program, which are, cost effectiveness, filling a program or market gap, and the extent to which it addresses equity, and then also, meets some of the state's larger policy goals like decarbonization and things like that. But we need to understand, what is the technology going to do at scale? We're testing it in this constrained environment, the sandbox environment, but what will this project deliver in terms of benefits at scale? So I think that's what it's trying to get at in that question. And then again, how the proposed project will perform against those selection metrics, that's the same thing. So it's how your project is cost effective, how it fills a programmatic or market gap, the extent to which it enhances equity. And all of these things are outlined on the CTIES website. So you can see all of those things a little more clearly if you need additional clarification there. Um, but we can share that link after this as well. Um, let's see. Okay. Should the presentation address the comments highlighted in the July 31st docket? Um, I think you mean the Innovation Advisory Council document that was filed recommending certain um, projects. I think yeah, it absolutely could. If there were things that um, the council flagged in their recommendations or in that document about a project, it may be good to address them in that meeting. Um, those were thoughts or comments that the council had suggested to the authority to consider. So there's a good chance that the authority may ask interrogatories about those topics as well. So that is a good question, and I think would be something fair to address. Um, we have a question. Is it typically one presenter per company, or is it okay to have, say, two presenters? It would be totally fine to have more than one presenter, particularly if you want, a couple of people to be able to answer questions. Um, that's completely acceptable. Um, we have a question about the weights of the different criteria at this time. Those are kept confidential for competition reasons, but so just to clarify that. Um, so let's see. I'm just seeing if anything else came in. All right. Um, in the meantime, just a reminder, we will share this recording and slides afterwards. We'll also put um, our responses to the questions into a document and share those as well so that everybody has those and hopefully are able to hear. Um, okay. If there are no more questions about the technical meeting, we will, I think, adjourn for today. Um, And if you think of any others as you're preparing your slides, please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help. Um, and I appreciate all of you attending and for your time and interest in this program. Um, and I think that we can adjourn for today. Thank you again, everyone. We'll follow up again, like I said. Um, And I hope that you all have an excellent rest of your day. So, all right, we will look forward to seeing you all on September 17th.